comment, and share.
Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, national anthem.
Adúpẹ́ fún Elédùmarè ọba tó ní kí ẹ máa gbọ́ mi lónìí. Ọlọ́run ọ̀hún òun náà ni èmi fi ọpẹ́ fún lónìí. Mo kí ọmọdé, mo kí àgbàlagbà, mo kí ọkùnrin, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí obìnrin, mo kí onílé, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí àlejò lónìí pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa Omoboriowo. Ètò tá a máa mú fúnra wa lónìí, ètò tí ẹ ti ń retí ni tí a pè ní ìmọ̀ràn àgbà. Ìmọ̀ràn àgbà, ìmọ̀ràn àgbà, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń wọlé pẹ̀lú wa lórí ètò lónìí, màá rọ̀ yín pé kẹ́ bá wa ṣí ètò yìí, ẹ bá wa pín, ẹ jẹ́ kó kárí ilé, kó kárí oko, ẹ jẹ́ kó débi tó yẹ kí ọwọ́ jẹ́ ètò yìí, kó débi tí ó yẹ kó dé. Nígbà tí àwa náà tí a ó máa fi ọwọ́ kan bí yìí pín káàkiri fún gbogbo èèyàn wa tí ẹ ó sì máa wò wá kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ bí a bá ṣe ń ṣe ètò yìí. Ètò ìmọ̀ràn àgbà ó dà ní ètò tí ó ń dé sí etí gbọ̀nyìn látòrí Omoboriowo Media lónìí. Ẹ lè wò wá káàkiri ibikíbi. Lórí ètò yìí, àwọn àlejò wa, àwọn bàbá wa tí ẹ ti mọ̀, òdú ni wọn ò kì í ṣe àìmọ̀ fún olóko. Kò sí, wọ́n ti gbìyànjú nínú jàǹgbara ilẹ̀ Yorùbá yìí, wọ́n ti gbìyànjú nínú tẹ̀síwájú fún ìran Yorùbá, wọ́n ti gbìyànjú lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ fún ọ̀nà àbáyọ fún ìran Yorùbá. Ẹ rí wípé tí n bá ti ń dárúkọ wọn, kódà kí n má ti dárúkọ wọn gan, ẹ ti mọ irú bàbá wa tí mo ń sọ, tí mo ń dárúkọ. Ẹ ti mọ̀ wípé gbogbo iṣẹ́ takuntakun tí wọ́n ti ṣe lágbà sí ìran Yorùbá, òun náà ni ẹ ti rí. Lónìí, àwọn ní àlejò wa. Ètò yìí yóò sì máa wáyé ní gbogbo ọ̀sọ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀mejì lọ́sẹ̀. Òun náà ni ètò yìí ni yóò máa wáyé tí a mọ̀ sí ìmọ̀ràn àgbà. Bàbá mi, mo tún wọlé pé bàbá mi, nítorí pé ipa tí wọ́n ti kó nínú jàǹgbara ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kò kéré. Tí a bá rántí ẹni tó gbé ìjọba lọ sí ilé ẹjọ́ nípa wípé ó yẹ kí ó má sí ìbò ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, wọn ní Ọ̀ṣun àti Èkìtì. Mo rò pé tí n bá ti dárúkọ wọn náà, ẹ ti mọ̀ wọn, torí pé àǹkan yìí òun náà ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn ni wọ́n fi máa dámọ̀ pé àdádì tó gbé àwọn Ọ̀ṣun lọ ilé ẹjọ́ yẹn kọ́ ẹni tẹ́ máa fi dámọ̀ nu wọ́n ń bẹ. Àwọn náà ni a ó jọ máa jọ ṣe ètò lónìí, àwọn ni a jọ ń bẹ lórí ètò lónìí. Orúkọ wọn tí mo fi tọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ dárúkọ òun náà ni Chief Dr. Olúṣọlá Òní. Bàbá, ẹ bá mi kí àwọn ará ilé, wọ́n fẹ́ gbọ́ yín.
Ẹ káalẹ́ o, ẹ kú àsìkò yìí, ẹ kú ọdún tuntun, ọdún àyàbò fún wa o. Mo ń láti tọrọ ìdáríjì lọ́wọ́ yín ká tó bẹ̀rẹ̀, nítorí pé òyìnbó ni máa sọ jù, nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà lẹ́yìn. Màá jíròrò láti ṣe translation as much as possible. But òyìnbó ló wà pọ̀jù nínú nǹkan tí màá sọ. Part of the reason is that àwọn tó máa gbọ́ wa kì í ṣe Yorùbá nìkan. Torí a fẹ́ káwọn tó tún máa gbọ́ wa kó jẹ́ pé kì í ṣe àwọn tó jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá nìkan ló máa gbọ́ wa. A fẹ́ máa bára wa nìkan sọ̀rọ̀. A fẹ́ bá àwọn èèyàn àgbáyé la fẹ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀, kì í ṣe àwa nìkan la fẹ́ bára wa sọ̀rọ̀. So ẹ káàbọ̀, ẹ kú dìde. Thank you.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni àbá sọ pé lónìí wọ́n ní èdè òyìnbó òun náà ni àwọn yóò lò jù nítorí pé àwọn fẹ́ kí àwọn tí wọn ò gbọ́ Yorùbá gan tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọmọ yanmirin kí wọ́n mọ̀ wípé dandan ìmọ̀ràn àgbà ó ṣe pàtàkì lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀, pé kì í ṣe Yorùbá nìkan òun náà ni ibi tí àwọn fẹ́ fi ọwọ́ já ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tí àwọn fẹ́ fi dé lónìí. Òní eléyìí ó kàn jẹ́ ìfihàn lásán tí a lè pè ní ìfihàn tàbí ká pè ní introduction lórí tí ètò yìí ohun tí ó dalẹ̀ lórí. Ìmọ̀ràn àgbà yóò máa wáyé ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Tuesday àti ọjọ́ Thursday ní orí Omoboriowo Media. Ó náà ni yóò ti máa wáyé káàkiri torí pé ibi náà ni a ti kọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ àti ìmọ̀ àti òye àti àwọn tí bàbá yìí tí wọ́n mọ̀ ṣáájú káwa kó tó mọ̀ tí wọ́n jẹ́ pé wọ́n lè sọ nípa bí Nàìjíríà bó ṣe jẹ́, nípa bí Yorùbá bó ṣe jẹ́, àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kí ọmọdé wa tó yẹ ká mọ̀ nípa tó ti kọjá lọ náà lámọ̀ torí pé Yorùbá wọ́n ní tí ọmọdé ò bá bá ìtàn wọ́n ní irú ọmọ òun yóò bá àrọ́bá. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àrọ́bá òun náà sì ni bàbá ìtàn torí pé àrọ́bá tá à ń wò yìí Yorùbá wọ́n ní àrọ́bá òun náà ni bàbá ìtàn. Ẹ rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìtàn tó yẹ ká mọ̀ òun náà láàmọ̀ lónìí, láàmọ̀ lọ́la, láàmọ̀ títí lálẹ́ nígbà tí Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè tó bá ṣe ń bá wa dẹ̀mí àwọn báyìí tó bá wa dá ẹ̀mí wọn sí. Lónìí màá fún bàbá láàyè kí wọ́n nà yẹ́ kí wọ́n bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ pé n tá a fẹ́ ṣe tá a pè ní ìmọ̀ràn àgbà yìí kí ni tó dalẹ̀ lórí, kí làkórí ẹ̀, níbo là ń lọ, onípele mélòó ni, torí pé lórí ètò yìí ẹ láǹfààní àti pè, torí pé ẹ ní àǹfààní àti pè láti béèrè bàbá wa ṣe ń ṣe lọ ní agbára Ọlọ́run ṣeṣe kí gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá pè wọlé tí ó bá béèrè tó bá gbà á tàbí tó bá béèrè tó bá gbà á ó ṣeṣe kí a máa fi ẹ̀bùn díẹ̀díẹ̀ bóyá owó káàdì kí a máa fi ta yín lọ́rẹ̀ tó dáwọ́ a fẹ́ kí ètò yìí a fẹ́ kó ọwọ́ já ẹ̀ a fẹ́ kó rìn gan-an débi tó yẹ kó rìn dé. So àwọn ọmọ wa tí wọn gbọ́ Yorùbá wọn náà ṣe ni pé àwọn náà lè jàǹfààní nípa ètò ìmọ̀ràn àgbà, wọ́n lè jàǹfààní nípa nǹkan tí wọn ò dé bá, wọ́n lè jàǹfààní nípa nǹkan tí àwọn òbí wọn gan ò lè sọ fún wọn nípa ìran wọn, kí ni ìran wọn, báwo ni wọ́n ṣe dáyé, báwo ni wọ́n ṣe bí wọn, kí ni wọ́n gbogbo àti tó yẹ ká mọ̀ nípa ìbí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, ìbí Nàìjíríà Yorùbá pátá. Òun náà ni ètò yìí òun náà ni yóò máa dálé lórí. Ní báyìí ẹ jẹ́ kí n sọ fún bàbá pé bàbá mo fẹ́ kí ẹ bá mi ṣàlàyé bí ètò yìí, torí pé òní introduction náà ni a ṣe introduction fáwọn èèyàn wa, a sì gbà wọ́n nímọ̀ràn pé kí wọ́n make sure pé gbogbo ọjọ́ Tuesday pé wọ́n wá ń wò yín àti ọjọ́ Thursday ní àbọ̀lọ́ Ọlọ́run yóò bá mi lékún ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àti òye àti àláfíà ara yín. Ẹ ṣé pọ̀ bàbá, ẹ tẹ̀síwájú.
Okay, thank you very much. The plan that we have is this. Today is introduction. I come for generally baby. But by next week, I'm going to be sorrow. Nikoko will be making very important points. Number one, we have to ask the question: where are we coming from? Mbolatimbo. Yoruba. Who are the Yoruba people? Who are we? Where are we coming from? And then finally, at part 3, we'll be talking about where we should be going, the Igbo land law, and those are the three ways I'm going to look at it. Now, just quickly, before February last year, almost all Yoruba man or woman that I came across, that I spoke to, was for self-determination. They were all for self-determination. The output from nearly all Yoruba media outlets abroad was all about self-determination for Yoruba people. Some 200 different organizations were formed by the Yoruba in diaspora, all fighting for self-determination. Other organizations, they banded together to form a self-determination movement. We went on demonstrations at Downing Street in London. We went on demonstrations in Washington, D.C. We went on demonstrations to other Western capitals. We were on WhatsApp platforms. We were on Twitter Space. We are on every other social media that I can think of. All the social media were alive. From invitation from everywhere. We speak, write, but here, and everywhere. Then Tinubu happened. Then silence. Getting silent. So in February 2023, Tinubu was elected.
Gbọ́yìn mọ́ sà.
Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀?
A ti ń gbọ́ báyìí. Ìyàwó ti clear báyìí sà.
Shall I start again?
Ẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ tẹ̀síwájú bàbá, a ti ń gbọ́ dáadáa, ṣe tẹ̀síwájú, a ti ń gbọ́ dáadáa.
Okay. So Tinubu happened. Then silence. Definite silence. In February 2023, Tinubu was elected president of Nigeria. In other words, all the brouhaha, all the noise was really about our local. It's our turn. So once we achieved the presidency of Nigeria, that was it. So to me, many of us obviously did not believe in self-determination for our Yoruba land. So the question that I ask myself is this: what exactly has changed since Tinubu, a Yoruba man, became the president of Nigeria? If I just go through this and try and do a bit of translation into Yoruba. Before February 2023, gbogbo wa ń pariwo pé a fẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Bá a ṣe ń pariwo ní Yorùbá, lẹ́ ń pariwo ńlé, là ń pariwo everywhere. Sunday Igboho, Professor Akintoye and co, they went into exile because of this self-determination town story. Then what happened? Tinubu the president. The president by silence everywhere. Ó kàn dàbí pé àwa ló kàn. Ìgbà tó ti kàn wá yẹn tá a ti di president ó parí nìyẹn. So the question that I'm asking is this: what has changed? What has changed in the 1 year that Tinubu has been president that makes us not to fight for Yoruba nation again? As far as I can see, nothing at all. Nothing at all has changed. Fulani herders, they are still destroying Yoruba farms. Fulani herders, they are still preventing Yoruba farmers from tilling the land. Fulani jihadists, they are still killing Christians in our churches. Yoruba people are still being kidnapped. Yoruba people are still hungry. Our young people are still unemployed. Nigerian politicians, they are still stealing Yoruba money and treating all the Yoruba people with contempt, with disdain. The Yoruba people, we are still prisoners in Nigeria. We Yoruba people, we are still subjected to the 1999 Fulani Constitution. So the Fulani write a constitution for Nigeria, and we are still prisoners of that constitution. So nothing at all has changed. And yet, people are no longer fighting for the Yoruba nation. And it's very difficult for somebody like me to understand. Very difficult. But one thing that I want to make clear to everybody is this: There are some of us who have not given up. There are some of us that will not give up. There are some of us that will fight to the last man. We may be small in number, but I tell you, eventually we shall prevail. We shall amplify our voices with what I call megaphone diplomacy. We shall amplify our strength with our pen. Pen is mightier than the sword. We shall convince the whole world of the right of self-determination for Yoruba people. Now we have the right to determine what we want to do with ourselves. So if I attempt to translate that, kò sí nǹkan kan tó yàtọ̀ nítorí pé Tinubu di president, nǹkan kan yàtọ̀. Àwọn Fúlàní wọ́n ń da ẹran wọn láti jẹ oko wa. Wọn ò jẹ́ kí àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́. Wọ́n ti lé àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa kúrò lóko. Wọ́n lọ pa èèyàn, wọ́n pa àwọn Kírísítẹ́nì, wọ́n pa wọ́n nínú chọ́ọ̀chì wọn. Àwọn èèyàn wa wọ́n kidnap, wọ́n jí àwọn èèyàn wa. Sọ̀rọ̀ mi ò yé.
Àgbọ́yé sà, àgbọ́yé, à ń gbọ́ sà.
Àwọn ọmọ wa wọn ò ríṣẹ́ ṣe. Ebi ń pa wá. We have Constitution 1999 táwọn Fúlàní tán kọ fúnra wọn, àìjíyà lábẹ́. So ta ló máa wá sọ pé torí pé Tinubu dẹ̀ ti jẹ ọba Nàìjíríà ọ̀rọ̀ ti parí nìyẹn? Ta ló máa sọ yẹn? Nǹkan tí mo fẹ́, ìlérí tèmi fẹ́ sọ fún àwọn èèyàn wa rèé wípé àwa a lè má pọ̀ o, but we will get the job done. A lè má pọ̀ o, we may be small in number, we will get this job done. I can promise you that. Personally speaking, I have never given up the Yoruba nation. Never. I will never give up Yoruba nation. How can I? I'm a Yoruba nationalist. I'm a Yoruba monarchist. I'm a Yoruba traditionalist. So how can I give up the fight for Yoruba nation? As far as I'm concerned, Tinubu's election has not changed anything for me whatsoever. There's nothing that it has changed at all. We are still exactly the same as when Buhari was there. People like me are lucky. We were lucky. I was born when Western region was Western region. That is Yoruba land. Not in Western region, but Yoruba land in Western region. I was born then. At that time, Yoruba land was semi-autonomous. Yoruba land was totally semi-autonomous. Although we were within Nigeria, Yoruba land was able to move forward in leaps and bounds to such an extent that people from different parts of the developing world, one was Ibadan to find out. They came to Ibadan to find out how we were doing, how Awolowo was doing things. I was in the first set of Awolowo free education in 1955. So that tells you the advantages that I got from the fact that the Yoruba land was free. I was part of the very beginning of Africa's television age. My generation was the first generation of Africans to see television, to take part in television. So you can see why it is not possible for me to give up the dream of a Yoruba nation. It's not a dream that it is possible for me to give up. Now, let me be blunt. Let me be blunt. I was not previously against Nigeria. I too previously believed in Nigeria. So it isn't as if, I've been against Nigeria all my life. And I'll give you examples. In 1969, I went to Biafra to feed refugees during the Biafra War. I was a UI student. I was a university student. I volunteered with the Christian Council of Nigeria and the International Committee of Directors. At that time, I'd never left home before. I'd never been outside. The only places I've been to at that stage was Ibadan, my hometown, Lagos. That was it. But to go to Biafra, we had to go by boat, by ship. At that time, we took 27 hours to get to Biafra. Then when things got very hot, they had to airlift us back to Lagos, because it wasn't possible to go back the same route that we came in, because the fighting had been tough. So I volunteered. I was a teenager. I volunteered to go to Biafra to go and feed people. Between 1970 and 1974, I represented Nigeria all over the world under the auspices of the World University Universities. I don't know whether it still exists, WUS. At that time, we youth were meeting together in different parts of the world, and we were discussing how to develop our countries. We were discussing maternal child health. In fact, we organized at Igboora in 1970 a conference on maternal child health that we invited all medical students from Africa to attend. That time, we had support from, for example, Aminu Kano was the Commissioner for Health then, and he gave us a lot of support. So I was representing Nigeria, different from Bucharest to Kathmandu, from Delhi to Nairobi, from Accra to Islamabad, all over the place. In 1973, another example, in 1973, the first job that I did after graduation from University of Ibadan Medical School was a friend of mine, Wale, a friend of mine and I, we borrowed somebody's car and we drove to all the Gawan state capitals at that time. We traveled over 5,000 kilometers because we believed, at that time, we believed in Nigeria. So we drove around the place. So the question that you are now asking is this: okay, if you are so for Nigeria, what changed? What happened? And I'll explain it to you. Everything changed for me on the 20th of October 2020. That was the day that Nigerian soldiers shot and killed unarmed demonstrators at the Lekki toll gate. And then I'm asking myself, what will make a military commander, what will make somebody who is in charge of soldiers to command them to shoot at unarmed Nigerians? This is Nigerian soldiers. He is telling them to shoot and kill unarmed young people because they were demonstrating. And I said to myself, this has to be due to hatred. There's no other word there's nothing else that you can say could motivate him to ask his soldiers to shoot at people who had no guns, even if they were irritating. Nigeria has police. Why can't you send the police and tear gas and batons? Instead, they were shooting at unarmed, and even when they were running, because I was looking at it live on television, even when they were running, the soldiers were shooting at them on the back. So you ask yourself, how can anybody who loves the country, who loves everybody in the country equally, how can he be shooting at unarmed people? So the answer to me was that this is hatred. It couldn't be anything else. You must hate the Yoruba people. You must hate Southerners for you to then ask your soldiers to be killing people because they were demonstrating. To me, it was just unimaginable. And what he did was to remind me what happened in 1970 when a colleague, a friend of mine, Kunle Adepeju, was shot by Nigerian police. We were demonstrating again, doing this, just demonstrating, when he was shot and killed. And fast forward 2020, you are still doing exactly the same thing. And to me, as I said, you have to hate people. I mean, I can imagine, I can understand the soldier going in battle and fighting other soldiers and shooting at each other. But to be so cowardly, that you shoot at people who are unarmed and you call yourself professionals, it's got to be hatred. And what I did almost immediately, I wrote a letter, a petition to the Secretary General of the UN, demanding self-determination for the Yoruba people. I then published that petition online and asked people who had the same mentality as me, the same mindset as me, to sign that petition. And so far, over 10,000 people have signed that petition to the UN. I promised that if more than 10,000 people signed, I was then going to sit down and write a fuller petition, a much bigger petition to the UN, which is what I'm doing at the minute. I've been doing it now for about 6 months. That tells you how big this is going to be. I expect that at the very least, it will be up to 150 pages. It's full of legal arguments and so on and so forth. And I intend to even publish it as a book, so that not only will the UN have be privy to it, but also everybody else, so that they can see what we Yoruba are. It's going to talk about the things I was saying earlier, that who are we? Who are the Yoruba? Where are we coming from? Where do we wish to go to? And where we wish to go to is very evident from what happened between 1954 and 1959, when we were the most developed part of African soil. So that is what I'm doing at the minute. And as soon as the application is ready, I will announce it. I will let people know. Finally, before I end this section, and then I'll be happy to take any questions from my host, is this, because it is a question that I've been asked by people, that what gives me the right to make application on behalf of the Yoruba people? I'm not a politician. So, what gives me the right? And I start, when I explain it to them, is this, that the concept of representation under Yoruba culture is different from the concept of representation under European culture. In European culture, what they want is elections. So people you don't know, people who have nothing wrong with you, you want them to vote for you. We Yorubas don't do it that way. In the European culture, a man who gets less than 10% of the people voted for him becomes the president. It will never happen in Yoruba culture that somebody who gets 10% of the votes of the population becomes the leader of the population. It makes no sense. But that's European culture. That's Western culture. In Yoruba land, in the ancient Yoruba land, they didn't do this kind of thing. Your representative is by acclaim. If you the Yoruba translation, we did it. The Yorubas did not do elections, and there are 3 reasons why I can claim that I've been acclaimed by the Yoruba. The first is that I'm a Yoruba man, born and bred in Ibadan proudly, of Yoruba parentage. I was brought up Yoruba, and I spent the first 25 years of my life in Yoruba land. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm a Yoruba chief. I'm Bashigun Alabe. And that gives me two things. The first one, it gives me a cultural mandate. As a chief of Yoruba land, I have a cultural mandate to represent Yoruba land. The chief in the olden days was part of the governance system of Yoruba land. So culturally, I am mandated as a chief to represent Yoruba land. Secondly, I have a traditional mandate. As a chief, I'm an Oloye, I'm a nobleman, I'm a leader. That's what it means to be a chieftain in Yoruba land. A nobleman, a leader. Thirdly, I have what I call the Moremi mandate. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know the story of Moremi. But in the olden days, what used to happen was that when there was a problem that affected the whole Yoruba nation, the people spontaneously conferred leadership on anyone, any person amongst them who had the most logical solution, which was what Moremi had, a logical solution. So automatically, when somebody provides the Yoruba people with a logical solution, they accept his leadership. And a good example was Awolowo. Awolowo was a Moremi mandate. And look what he did for Yoruba land. To some extent, recently, Igboho was also had a Moremi mandate. And since I have been able to convince over 10,000 people to follow me in my quest, I too have the Moremi mandate. Finally, in this section, before I hand over to our host, is that the UN petition itself, the UN petition that remember I said after the NSAS tollgate massacre, I wrote a petition to the UN Secretary General, which I published online, which has been signed by over 10,000 people. That petition is still ongoing. It isn't finished. If you want to sign that petition, go online to change.org. Change, change.org. If you go online, go to change.org, and under the search option, type in Olushola Oni, and the petition will come up, and you can read it. And if you are of like mind, you can sign it. So I will rest there. I don't want to just talk without any interaction with our host. And I will now happy for any comments.
Ganisa. Explain it deeply and then I'm still really happy that you said most of us don't know the history of Moremi, which I think it will be a very big topic. So because people want to know who is Moremi is, and then at least it's dagan. Then pẹ̀lú àlàyé tẹsíkàlẹ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ pé you have decided to change your mind when the soldier point a gun on armed protester. That is when you decided that no, this country it is no more. Yoruba nation is the only solution. Then since you joined the Yoruba nation, you have mentioned things that you have done, which is you are still continue to be doing it. Likewise, you posted a petition. But I would like to share the petition to all our audience so that they can be able to go and sign if it is allowed. And it is very important that now you have 10,000 signed already. So the petition can still continue going on. But I want to ask a question. Is it the petition have an expiring date? That
No.
I mean, the limited date?
No.
wọ́n ní petition yìí wọ́n ní kò ní limited date, so ẹ jẹ́ tí a bá bóyá lágbára Ọlọ́run ní ọjọ́ Thursday I'll get it done properly. As òní is just an introduction on what this program is all about. The program tó about pé ìgbọ́n lágbára Ọlọ́run tó bá dijọ́ Thursday á pín ní website yẹn sí ojú mú máwòrán kí àwọn èèyàn náà kí wọ́n lọ máa sign in káwọn ohun tí ó lè padà wá ṣẹlẹ̀. Then ìbéèrè mi tí mo máa fi béèrè lọ́wọ́ yín tí màá fi ní kákásètò yìí ńlẹ̀ torí pé introduction la pè é táwa wá tó bá dijọ́ Thursday gan ni wípé a rí ìgbìyànjú yín nígbà pé Yorùbá Nation. We have seen some of your effort bí ẹ ṣe gbé àwọn kan lọ sí ilé ẹjọ́ lórí pé ẹ fẹ́ kí election kó wáyé, a rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Mo dẹ̀ rò pé bóyá lẹ́yìn ìgbà yẹn òun náà ni a tó ti rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ohun tí ẹ ti ṣe pé kí Yorùbá Nation kó lè tẹ̀síwájú. Ẹ dẹ̀ ti sọ pé kò sí ohunkóhun tó lè mú yín padà ọ̀ntí tá bá tó gba Yorùbá Nation, which is tí àwa náà ta jẹ́ ọ̀dọ́ yìí náà tí a máa tẹ̀lé ipa tí ẹ̀yin bá fi sílẹ̀, tá a máa tẹ̀lé lànà tí ẹ̀yin bá fi sílẹ̀. Ibi tí mo wá ń lọ wá leléyìí, ọ̀dọ́ gangan náà ní àmọ̀ràn tí mo fẹ́ kẹ́ bá mi gba àwọn ọ̀dọ́ lámọ̀ràn dáadáa, torí pé tí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ jágbàlagbà báyìí tí ò bá sí nǹkan kan tó lè change mind yín, tí wọn ò lè fi owó change mind, tí wọn ò lè fi pò, tí wọn ò lè twist brain yín, àwọn tí ẹ padà wá lò náà ni àwa ọ̀dọ́. So that is me, your main weapon to fight this battle, it is youth. Your main weapon to fight this battle, it is youth. Then mo fẹ́ kẹ́ bá mi bá àwọn youth yẹn sọ̀rọ̀. I want you to talk to them, to be honest with themselves and to be honest with the leader that they are following. So àwọn yẹn kò kàn ní lò wọ́n kàn ní fi owó díẹ̀ tàn wọ́n ní wà manipulated, wọ́n ní wà brainwashed. Wọ́n lè mọ̀ wípé truly those who are behind this struggle, they are those people that is recognized throughout the world. Kì í ṣe àwọn kan, kì í ṣe àwọn jẹ̀búrẹ́tẹ̀ kan tó yẹ pé wọ́n ní history. Ẹ̀yin náà gbọ́n tẹ sọ́nsìn, you are the first free education of Awolowo in 1955. Ẹ̀yin náà ẹ̀dẹ̀ wo àwọn t'Awolowo ti ṣe nígbà yẹn. Cocoa House wà ń bẹ̀. Then at that time, Cocoa House is the first tallest building in Africa and part in Asia country and even part of the Europe. The Asia have never have any tallest story at that time. But tẹ́ bá wò lónìí, Dubai is the first tallest building. Then where is the Cocoa House again? It's not even finding 50th or 6th or 50th position. Adin Benin will remain as a southwest as we is. Maybe we have been the first, maybe we have been among the giant country in the whole world today.
Okay. I can interrupt you, man. In 1959, from 54 to 59, South Korea was less developed than Yoruba land.
Oh my God.
1954 to 1959, Singapore was less developed than Yoruba land. I visited Singapore in 1970. It was little more than a fishing village.
Oh my God.
You
Serious?
Go to Singapore today. Go to Singapore. Dubai. I visited them in the 70s. Look at Dubai today. Our people, they will steal money from Nigeria. In Dubai. You have to be. It's more than stupid. It is more than stupid to take money from your own country to go and develop somebody else's country.
Somewhere else.
Yeah. Jí owó ní Nàìjíríà, lọ máa ná ní Paris. Wá máa ṣakọ sí wa pé lọ Paris. Ṣé báwọn kan ló kọ́ Paris? What is it that you have in your own country that you can show the world that this is what we have built? What have you got? And yet, it's not that we don't have the brain. when I tell people the Yorubas, the fellowship of the Royal College of Surgeons that I'm a fellow, 1800 làwọn Yorùbá ti jẹ́ fellow of that college. Of the College of Surgeons. Làwọn Yorùbá ti lọ sí the Edinburgh College that I am also a fellow of that college today. My own daughter is a member of that college today. But there were people before us. Just think about it. Ajayi Crowther was a bishop in the 1800s. Just think about it. He was a vicar of Highgate Church, in the UK. Just think about it. How far the Yorubas had been.
I've gone.
Where we have been. That we are now backward. Where we have been and we are now backward. I mean, it's painful. It is absolutely. I was explaining to. It might come up as the program develops. I was talking to somebody about medical practice. I wrote a book on Yoruba medicine some time ago, and I was explaining to somebody that Yoruba medicine was similar to Orthodox medicine. Because the Yorubas believed that physical agents cause disease, not our spirit or what. They knew that kokoro, physical agent kokoro, caused disease. That's why the Yorubas invented vaccination. Awala invented vaccination.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sà, mo ní ìwé kan lọ́wọ́, ṣé ìwé ni ọ̀bí clip tí ó sọ nípa vaccination yẹn. Because ó dàbẹ̀ ni pé bóyá last year ni wọ́n ṣe recognize orúkọ ẹni yẹn, wọ́n dá orúkọ Yorùbá ẹ̀ mọ̀mọ́.
Onismus lórúkọ ẹ̀, orúkọ slave ni.
Yes. Nígbà tí wọ́n kó lẹ́rú lọ sọ́hún tí àìsàn yẹn ń ṣe wọ́n tó wá sọ fún ọ̀gá ẹ̀ pé àníṣe àwọn lè wo ẹni yìí wọ́n àgbà wọ́n kàn ti rò pé yóò yàn yẹ̀yẹ́ ni ó ní àníṣe òun ó wo ẹni yìí nígbà tó wá di pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kú lọ́wọ́ pé èpè la fi máa ń wo èpè sàpànà la fi wo sàpànà pé sàpànà ló kọlù yìí á sì fi sàpànà wo sàpànà ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n di pé wọ́n ní wọn gbà nígbà tó wọ́n di pé ẹnì kìíní kú ẹnì kejì kú ẹnì kẹta kú náà wá ní ẹwà ní tí arákùnrin sọ yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká fọ́lú ẹ o tí ó fi wá wo arákùnrin ọ̀sán so tó wá fi wòsàn yẹn wọ́n wá ní kó kọ́ àwọn kò fẹ́ kọ́ wọn kò fẹ́ ṣàlàyé fún tó náà pé ìran Yorùbá lòun àmọ́ ànílọ́dẹ ó padà wá ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ fún wọn ó ní wọ́n wá translate sí vaccine lónìí nígbà tí mo gbọ́ kíní yẹn wọ́n wọ lọ́hùn wọ́n dẹ̀ tún wá ń tà fún wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá láwa tá a ní.
In fact, it is much better than that. In the sense that our soldiers don't fight the civil war. He was the one who encouraged them to be vaccinated. Onismus, who has been voted the best Bostonian, one of the best Bostonians of all time. And he said the medical practice in Yoruba land was similar to Orthodox medicine. I want Chinese. There is some fluid àwọn Indians wọ́n ní evil spirit kan ló ṣe kìíní. Àwa Yorùbá, we said kokoro, a physical agent, was the cause of disease, and the way to treat disease is to treat that physical agent. That's why we had herbologists. Àwọn tó ń ṣàgbo bá a ṣe ń ṣe nǹkan tán fi ń ṣe àgbo nìyẹn. Ó tó di pé àwọn òyìnbó dé gbogbo ẹ̀ bàjẹ́ oníkàlùkù ń ṣe a lot of nonsense now. That is the basis of herbs, of Yoruba herbs. Àgbo táwọn Yorùbá ń ṣe, that was the basis. They knew that kokoro was the cause, although they couldn't see the kokoro. They couldn't see it because they didn't have microscope, but they knew that a physical agent was responsible. Now, you asked me to talk about young people.
Yes, sir.
One of the problems I think that we have young people, I'm no longer young anymore, but that young people have is the belief that they can't do something. The belief that they cannot do something. How old was Awolowo about to lead him? He was in a 33 or 32, Connie. This is what I meant by the Moremi mandate. That if you have an idea which will get us out of the morass of Nigeria, spell it out. Let us know. Give us a timeline. Give us a timetable. Give us a pathway, and we will follow. So the idea that because you are young, you cannot do anything, is nonsense. It is from the wisdom of the young and the old that Ile-Ife was created. This is, hopefully, I'll be able to talk a lot more about where the Yoruba are coming from, because it is very, very important. It's very important for people to know that that we are not yeye people. Today, I just put on Twitter about how the missionaries misinterpreted everything Yoruba. And I was giving an example of the name Orunmila. When they said Orunmila was an Orisha, Orunmila meant that Orun, sky, Mila, that is a cleavage in the heavens. What the Yorubas were describing by Orunmila was how the earth was formed. In the beginning, there was water everywhere. Obatala then came down from heaven with sand and spread it to form the earth. Orunmila, it is that process that is Orunmila. Orunmila was not a god. Orunmila was not an Orisha. It is the process of Obatala coming down from heaven, bringing us to make land. And so many other things like that. And until you do what I call onomastic analysis, you analyze each word, then you know that a lot of the things that they told us were worshipping Agba is nonsense. The same thing, the pots, what they call the potsherd, I don't know, they call it something for worshipping Orisha. Laya Tijo, the people arranged bits of clay in such a way that was a drainage system. If it had been Chinese, they would be calling it a fundamental engineering feat. When some stupid Yoruba academics going around saying, "Oh yeah, they did it to go and worship." Worship what? It was a drainage system, so that when the rain fell, it didn't turn the place into mud. Anyway, so if you have any more questions, please.
Ẹ ṣeun gan ni dádì, a kú ẹkún láti àtàtàárọ̀, ẹkún ẹ ṣé gan ni. Ẹ̀yin wa tí ẹ ń wò wá nílé, a kí yín pé ẹ ṣé gan ni ẹ bá wa ṣètò yìí. Ètò tòní a kàn pé ni pé kí gbogbo wa ká lè mọ̀ wípé ètò kan ń bẹ tí a mọ̀ sí ìmọ̀ràn àgbà. And ètò yìí yóò máa yànnàná àwọn tó yẹ ká mọ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá, nípa ìtàn, nípa ibi tá a ti ń bọ̀ àti ibi tá a ti ń lọ. Òun náà ni ẹ máa mọ̀ lágbára Ọlọ́run. Mo rò wípé ètò yìí kò ní máa ju wákàtí kan lọ, tí mo sì rí pé a ti lo wákàtí kan ọ̀hún àti lò pé báyìí. Látàrí bẹ́ẹ̀, kí a lè máa ní continuation of this program, kí àwọn tí bàbá yóò máa sọ kó lè máa mọ̀ pé lábàárà ètò yìí a máa pè ní tí a mọ̀ sí documentary nígbà tó bá yá, tí ó yẹ pé gbogbo apáta alálọ́padà tún máa tún wò wípé à ń ṣe ètò kan nígbà kan tá a máa pèlè ní ìmọ̀ràn àgbà, nítorí pé àwọn nǹkan tí ò yẹ ká mọ̀, tí a mọ̀, tí ọ̀dọ́ wa ò mọ̀, tọmọdé wa ò mọ̀, òun náà ni a ó máa padà mọ̀ ní agbára Ọlọ́run. A ní lè ju báyìí lọ lọ́jọ́ tòní. Bọ́lágbọ́lọ́ tó bá di ọjọ́ Thursday, a mọ̀ mú topic tó jọ mọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ àgbà, tó jọ mọ́ ohun tó yẹ ká mọ̀, tó jọ mọ́ ohun tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìran wa. And I am very sure it will be an interesting program that you will never wanted to miss it. Gbogbo apáwátá mo fẹ́ kẹ́ jẹ́ kí a jọ darapọ̀ mọ́ ètò yìí. Ètò ọ̀hún yóò máa wá ní oníbejì, èdè Ìgbò àti èdè Yorùbá. Ó náà ni a ó fi máa ṣe, so a lè carry everybody along on this program. Mo fẹ́ kí ẹ bá mi kí àwọn èèyàn yín, àwọn olólùfẹ́ yín, àwọn ọmọ yín, àwọn ọmọ yín, kí ó tó di pé ẹ mọ̀ lọ sà. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Thank you very much.
Tó ó dá yẹn wá, a ní rí jù báyìí lọ. Dádì wa, bàbá wa, Chief Dr. Olúṣọlá Òní ni wọ́n ti wà pẹ̀lú wa láti àjọ ṣe ètò lónìí. Ẹ̀rí bàbá bí wọ́n ṣe ń bá wa yànnà náà tí wọ́n ń sọ àwọn táàmù láyà tí abẹ́rẹ́ àwọn jẹ àǹfààní èkó ọ̀fẹ́ tó bá jẹ́ pé irú àwọn wọ̀nyí ni wọ́n bá ń bẹ lókèrè, ó ṣeé ṣe kí wọ́n ti ṣe dáa jù báyìí lọ torí pé àwọn mọ ìtumọ̀ tó ń jẹ́ tó wọ́n sì ti bá ọ̀làwọ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn bá lo ìgbà. Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ̀rí pé ìran Yorùbá a ní àwọn nǹkan tó dáa, a ní àwọn nǹkan mèremère, a ní àwọn nǹkan tọ́lọ́run ọba fún wa tó jẹ́ pé a máa rí inú wo sì máa dùn pé ṣé lóòótọ́ ṣàwálà ni àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí. When you hear the story of a Yoruba, the origin of Yoruba, you just be crying that why are we find ourselves in this situation. Bàbá ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé even though as back as 19th century, àwọn Dubai àpò yẹn wọ́n ti ju flake tí wọ́n ti ń pa, tí wọ́n àwọn flake àwọn ọmọ tó máa ń lọ pa ẹja. Nígbà tí Yorùbá sì ń wọ aṣọ, àwọn Yíbò wọ́n sì ń lo ewé mọ̀dí ni. Tí Yorùbá ti ń wọ aṣọ, Yíbò sì ń lo ewé mọ̀dí, which is me Yorùbá people have been civilized. That is why tí Awólọ́wọ̀ tó sọ ọ̀rọ̀ kan nígbà tí election wáyé tó ní I do not care tí ACC tó bá TAD if TAD tó bá lose election. Only I'm worried about what we will tell our generation that an outsider, a stranger ruling laws in our own state, despite our civilized Christianity before them. Kó tó wá di pé wọ́n wá tán padà, wọ́n tó wá dìbò fún Awólọ́wọ̀. Lẹ́yìn pé Awólọ́wọ̀ gan mọ̀ wípé ìran Yorùbá ti lajú ṣáájú káwọn ẹ̀kọ́. Àwa ti ní doctor, a ti ní professor, àwọn Awúsá ò tí ní ẹyọ kan tá a ti ní many. But lónìí, àwọn tí wọ́n ní nǹkan ọ̀hún ni wọ́n wá ń rúùlù wa. How come? Báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? Báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? Ká bèèrè wa léèrè. Báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ gbogbo àwọn nǹkan wọ̀nyí? Òun náà ni tí a ó máa mọ̀ ní orí ètò yìí ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè yóò máa pẹ̀lú ẹ̀yẹn wa. A ní rí ju bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ fún tòní. Orúkọ tèmi Omoboriowo, òun náà ni èmi ń jẹ́ títí di ọjọ́ tí a ó máa pàdé fún gbàkejì ètò yìí. Ayọ̀ àti ìdùnnú, òun náà ni èmi àti yín yóò fi pàdé ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Ẹ bá wa ṣètò yìí, ẹ bá wa like, ẹ bá wa share, ẹ bá wa like, ẹ bá wa share, ìjábọ̀ Ọlọ́run àdúgbò yóò wà pẹ̀lú wa. Mo sì kí dáàdì wa tí wọ́n ń bẹ nílé pẹ̀lú wa, ìyẹn Lordman pẹ̀lú wa pé ẹ ṣé púpọ̀, àti bàbá wa Samson. Mo rò bóyá àwọn náà bóyá wọ́n ní ọ̀rọ̀ ṣẹ́jú. Àwa Samson tó bá ní ọ̀rọ̀ ṣẹ́jú méjì tó mọ̀ pé ẹ̀yin náà ẹ bá bàbá kọ̀rọ̀ wa, ẹ bá bàbá kẹsẹ̀ wa ni ẹ̀yin náà wọ ẹ̀yin náà ká máa rẹ́ ẹ̀yin náà ní orí ètò yìí. Màá fẹ́ kí ẹ̀yin náà kí bá mi kí àwọn aráalé ní ìṣẹ́jú kan kó tó di pé a ó máa lọ. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Okay, Samsung SM. Ẹ wọ mú tara yín sà. Ẹ wọ mú tara yín. Yeah.
Hello. Is it me you are referring to, sir?
Yes, yeah. I'm referring to you, sir. I think you came with Baba. So I just wanted to say
everybody.
Hi to
Hi,
name,
sir. I'm Dr. Omoboriowo John from London. I just received that notification now about 10 minutes ago. So I joined from one of my old teacher, Mrs. Lucy Koya. Anyway, whatever be the case, I really thank and cherish our gentleman.
You,
may God continue to bless you and increase your intelligence so that we can learn greatly from you, sir. Thanks very much. But please, post the notification earlier than scheduled so that we will know the time.
All right, sir.
May continue to bless you. Thanks a lot. And please let us share this program so that other people, like it's my first time of joining. But surely by the next meeting, I'm sure about 10 or 20 of my friends and my colleagues, surely they will be online.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm very happy to see our great father on.
And Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to you.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni sir. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín gan ni. Ọlọ́run yóò máa bá wa pẹ̀lú yín ní agbára Ọlọ́run. Adúpẹ́ fún Elédùmarè, ọba alágbára, ọba tí ó ṣẹ̀dá wa, ọba tó dá wa, tó mọ̀ wá, ẹ̀yìn wa, àwọn bàbá wa. Òun náà ni ẹ ti ń rí lórí ètò wa lónìí. Olódùmarè yóò máa wà pẹ̀lú wa títí di ìjọ Thursday tí a tún máa pàdé tí ètò yìí tí ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní pẹrẹwu. Olódùmarè yóò ràn wá lọ́wọ́. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Ó dàárọ̀.
Good night.
Yorùbá nation, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Àjò lè jò, onílé má relé, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Àjò lè dùn, kó dídẹrẹ́ má rèwọ́, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Ilé ẹni kì í bani lẹ́rù o, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Ilé kókó bani tagbe, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Ọmọ Yorùbá ilé ti yáná, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Àgbájọwọ́ la máa fi sọ̀yà, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Ọmọ Yorùbá ilé ti yáná, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. Àsìkò ti tó Yorùbá kárẹ̀lé o, ẹlẹ́ni yóò máa fẹ́. 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 Àsíá o, Yorùbá nation. Ẹlẹ́ni.